Well, shit. My name is Jason. I am the last manager of the last video store in the universe. Binge Movies coming to you from sunny tropical Akron, Ohio. Spring Blast is just around the corner. What a time to be alive. Currently mounting the next ranking series for this year. Should be 9.1. And we'll have the list of movies out soon. Locking down the last couple of guests and getting dates scheduled. But the world's in a bit of disarray. You know what else is in disarray? This movie. So I'm going to tell you about that. It's instant reaction. But if you want instant reactions to the latest releases of feature films in movie theaters, even more instantaneously than you're listening to right now, you need to become a patron. Patreon.com/binge movies. You got 3 tiers. It tells you what is available in each of the tiers. Pick the tier that lets you get some instant reactions, and then it lets me continue doing the show and not go broke doing it. So please support the show. Thank you. Okay. I'm sick of John Wick movies. I'm sick of John Wick movies proper. I'm sick of John Wick movie clones. It is tired. It is cliche. Less is more. And now we're into the more of this all. So now we are into the less of it all. Ordinary person turns out to be secret super assassin. It's had its time. It's had its heyday. John Wick did not invent it. Maybe did perfect it. I like aspects of all of the movies. But I don't want any more. And I don't want, let's find some untraditional star and put them in a role. Let's get Bob Odenkirk and turn him into a badass. I don't care. I don't want it. I don't want it. This is another one of those movies. However, I think this movie has 2 things going for it, and only 2 things. Number 1 is the lead. And I want to make sure, because I always invert this gentleman's name. For some reason, you didn't see what movie I'm talking about. I'm talking about the new release, 2025's Love Hurts, which is Kiwi Kwan. He's a realtor. He's a realtor who has a past as a cleaner for his brother. And that would have been nice if it was a twist, but it's not. Who is mafioso sort of type figure, right? He's this sort of gang lord figure, and he would send Kiwi Kwan in as his cleaner or his bag man to go clean up issues. And he has since moved on. He's atoned for his life. He's become a realtor. And he's extraordinarily happy in his life. And what the movie is supposed to be is a kind of colorful, zany, tongue-in-cheek, violent, romantic comedy action film. It cannot manage to capture any of those tones or styles or genres correctly. The movie is badly written. The movie is badly directed. The movie is badly acted. Perhaps with the exception of Kiwi Kwan, even though I don't think he's that good in this movie. But I think it's mostly the material that he's working with. Because I think he's actually one of the few things this movie gets right. The idea of having a character is unassuming, gentle, positive, emotional, sensitive, nerdy sort of character be pushed back into a woman from his past shows up back in his life right around Valentine's Day as he has living this wonderful life. He's got a job that he loves, a career that he loves. He's successful at it. He's a well-adjusted human being. And this female figure from the past returns to him and throws him into the fray of the life he left behind and puts him in mortal danger and he has to negotiate his identities, his old self and his new self. That's a pretty good premise. And the way that you should do that is you lock us into his current life, you get us to love that life and love that life for him, right? We need to love that life for him, and we are excited for him and we love it, and then this disturbance hits, and then we feel like, oh no, we don't want anything to happen to our precious little guy. Like this is our guy, and we don't want anything to happen to him. And his peace is being disturbed. That's what's at stake. Then you have an escalation of stakes, and then you have an escalation of violence, and you lead to a point in which this character has to revert to this kick-ass, badass guy, right? But he needs to be pushed to that point. I'll give you an example of what's like, how this movie functions. At the beginning of the movie, he's getting his food ready for the crock pot so it can cook while he's at work, while he's selling homes. And he's this ultra positive, upbeat guy who's realtor of the year, and he loves putting happy families into happy homes, and blah, blah, blah. And he's baking cookies before work and for Valentine's Day to give to his clients and to give to his coworkers, and everybody seems to like him, and he seems like a great guy, and it's so interesting. Like, he's so lovable, not interesting, but so lovable. And he rides his little bike to work, and I don't know how he gets from allotment to allotment with only a bike, but okay, whatever. And he rides the office on his little bike, and he rides to the different houses that he's going to sell on his little bike, and he's got his little cookies on his little bike, and he's riding around, and it's very happy, very picturesque. And there's this focus on his wrist. He's got these prayer beads that seem to be like Buddhist meditation, like prayer beads, peace beads. At some point later in the movie, way later in the movie, he is pummeling this guy. He's losing his shit, and he's pummeling this guy, and the beads shatter. The bracelet shatters off of his wrist, and the beads go flying everywhere. Now, in a well-written, well-directed, well-thought-out movie, that element of introducing the beads and then watching them break off of him as he pummels a guy in the face, watching the beads roll out across the floor, would have been something the whole movie would have paused at, drawn your attention to, and would have played for maximum dramatic effect. That in the pursuit of defending the life that he's built for himself, he's crossed a line, and he's now at risk of losing his new identity to his old identity, not just because these people are dragging him back in, but because he's allowing them to drag him back in. And then the character would have to find a way, which is, how do I save the day, confront the bad guys? If you wrote this well, the bead breaking scene would happen somewhere towards the end of the second act. He'd reach his lowest moment, look down on his bloody knuckles, and realize, oh my God, I'm becoming this monster. I've got to fight. I can't not fight. But how do I fight with the things that I've learned now? And so the more interesting third act would be, how does he fight non-violently, if such a thing is possible? Right? He doesn't want to be pushed. He doesn't want to be pushed. He doesn't want to be pushed. You let him get beat up. In wrestling parlance, you let the heels get heat on him. Get heat, get heat, get heat, get heat. Then when he finally snaps in the second act and beats the shit out of somebody, you go, whoa, and you have to make it in this really thrilling kind of way that we as the audience are getting that cathartic, whoa, this is so cool and this is so exciting. And I think he's, our lead here is well and above up to do this work. I think he can do the work, the stunt work, the martial arts work, all of it. And if he can't, they got a really good stunt double, and they digitally impose this dude's face up. But there's a lot in camera that's done, so he's the guy that could do this. And then it goes too far. And then he has his lowest moment towards the end of the second act, so we have another confrontation. And now he's pushed to the limit. The stakes have gone up higher. Rising action. Right? And he's pushed not just into self-defense, but into violence, bloodlust. Then the beads break. And oh my God, how do I integrate these two parts of myself? The guy who loves and the guy who hurts. I think I may have just put more thought into it than the screenwriters of this movie. There's 3 credited screenwriters in this film. And one of them has never written anything else but this movie, at least that has credits. And the other 2 have written kind of low-budget indie movies. And the director's the same way. He's only directed, I think, this movie. And I don't even know from the names if the director's one of the writers. I can't remember. They're all the wrong people for this material. They don't have any of the skill set. They don't have any of the nuance. It's supposed to be ostensibly a comedy. It's not funny. It wants to be spaghetti Western. It wants to be Tarantino, but at the same time, it wants to be a 90s rom-com. Like, it kind of reminds me of movies like Love Potion Number 9. It's just bad. The jokes don't work. The heartfelt stuff doesn't work. The acting is poor. Everything about the movie from the top down really kind of sucks. Another thing that you should do is you need to have a transition. Eventually, the climax of the movie happens at this, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's the hangout for the bad guys, but it looks like in a video store with a bunch of neon, but it's like an Asian martial arts video store, but it doesn't actually seem to be a video store. It kind of also seems to be like a boba place, but it's also maybe has like strip club vibes to it a little bit. And so the whole time I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this place is. What is their business? And if it's just their hangout, so this mob group, this gang, just like hangs out at like the Foot Clan lair, but for aging millennials, like I don't understand this. What is this for? Okay, I see the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet. Why do they have it there? What is this place? What is this business? How does it operate? Is it a front? What's the stuff like that? It's like, well, let's throw some martial arts video. Let's throw some posters and some video games, like all the shit that we like that inspired the movie. And okay, I like all that stuff. I mean, look at what I do. But it doesn't mean anything. There's one scene in this entire movie, one scene that gets close to working. And you go, oh yeah, you should have built, it's like the 5th action scene in the movie, but that should have been the first balls to the wall action scene in the second act where things tip over and it's what's the term that's used? It's like the threshold. That's where he has to cross over and he can't go back to his old life until he settles the demons of the past and conquers the dragon, and then he gets to go home. I don't want to get into spoilers, but the character maintains throughout the entire film that he loves his current life. There's no resolution to that, to any of that, of him going back to his old life. The movie has no resolution. It has a kind of half-hearted romance that ends. There's 2 half-hearted romances in this movie, and both of them are terrible. And so while I'm sitting there watching, I'm going, this is the right seed of an idea for a movie that could potentially turn this overplayed formula on its head. And this is the right lead for the movie, but everything else about the movie is wrong. And I don't know who Ariana DeBose's agent is, but she needs to fire her. Look at the last 10 movies that woman has made. Horrendous. This is a terrible film. It's going to make my worst of the year list. I don't know if it's going to preserve the year. There's already 2 on there. This is one of them. Stuff does get pushed off as more movies come out. We're only in February. This movie's terrible. Some of its best moments are mediocre, and most of the rest of its moments are very painful to get through, even at an hour and 23 minutes. It felt all of 2 hours. Extremely disappointing. I hope he gets another crack at it because he's got the chops, he's got the star power, he's got the heart. He just needs better screenwriters. Or somebody take this idea, buy the script, and go, okay, well, there's an idea here, and I'm going to hire real screenwriters we'll pay you for the idea. We'll buy the script, and we're going to completely rewrite the entire movie. That's what needed to happen. I believe this is a Universal Pictures film, so that means this thing's going to be on Peacock probably within 3 weeks, would be my guess. This is going to be a flop, and kind of deservedly so. So if you want to check it out on Peacock, go ahead. I wouldn't even recommend that. I mean, I guess as a streamer for when you're kind of folding laundry and you don't really give a shit, it's not any worse than most of the movies that, say, Amazon or Netflix puts out, but it's not any better than the better ones of those movies. Other than doesn't seem to be a lot of digital slop, which is nice for a change. Yeah, I would just, I understand what they were attempting to do, and I wish they were successful in doing it. I give the thing, it's between 1 and 2 stars. I'm being merciful, and I'll give it 2 stars. 2 stars, 1 star for the lead, 1 star for the seed of the idea, and the rest are blanks. So 2 out of 5 Letterboxd scale. If you haven't followed us on Letterboxd, do so. Letterboxd.com/binge movies. Can you do us a favor? Huh? Can you do us a kindness? Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. It's been a while since I've asked about that. I'm bad at doing those things because I hate when I'm listening to a podcast and some guy's prattling on about that kind of stuff. But here I am. I'm prattling. I need you to do it. Helps the show. Last year was the 3rd most listened to season of the show in the show's history. And that's pretty good. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you for your support. We're going to get back to the rankings soon enough. But I want to do it. I want to do it right when everybody who I want to do it can do it and is in a good place to do it. And it's, the world's in a bit of chaos right now. So bear with us. I'm going to have another one of these coming out real soon. So stay tuned. I hope my next experience is closer to the one I had with Companion than Love Hurts. Sometimes you're the companion, and sometimes love hurts. Till next time, binge on.